and we are now live streaming.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Today is Tuesday, September 15th, Committee of the Whole. Roll call of the members.
Mrs. Bronston Rizzo. Mrs. Rizzo.
She is here.
Mhm. Mr. D'Ambrosio.
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Here.
Ms. Gravellisi.
Here.
Mr. Sinella.
Here.
Ms. Ty. Mayor, oh, Ms. Ty, you're muted.
Carol, can you unmute?
Muted.
Okay, I'm
Hey.
here.
Ms. Ty and Mayor Arrigo.
Mayor is absent. Do you want to check with, it looks like we might have lost Ms. Bronson Rizzo.
It does look like we lost her.
So, she's coming back in now. If we can wait for just a second.
She's in the attendee room for some
Yep.
reason.
That's, yeah, she's in now.
Oh, she's back.
I've been thrown out of better places.
So can you just announce your presence for the roll call?
Here,
Thank you. Okay. First agenda item is the consent calendar, approval of the minutes.
So move, Madam
Second.
Chairman.
Second.
Okay, minutes approved. Consent calendar, item B, warrants are attached. Any questions on the warrants, Mr. Ferranti?
Thank you, Susan. Matt, number 9, School Point Inc. Contracted Services, $6,350. Page 1.
Yeah, that's a content management system that we use for communications online. They do it top to bottom each year for us.
Is that a one-time cost or do we pay that every year?
It's an annual fee. If you track back several years, you would have seen a much larger cost for the establishment. So this is to the ongoing maintenance of that system.
Okay, number 36, Franklin Covey client yearly fee for program $7,500.
Yeah, that's an instructional service at the Wayland School. I can send a PDF to the committee of the purchase order unless someone has a sense of something deeper than instructional service.
On page 4, number 124, Santander leasing for $30,881. Is that just one of the yearly payments?
That's an annual lease payment for the newest of our 71 passenger buses that replaced one that just came off. So you'll see that payment in the summertime, each of the next 3 years, and then we'll flip a new lease again.
Okay. And on page 7, number 257, Comtrack Corp. Cabling for $22,000 and change.
Yes, so that's cabling projects that John was overseeing. So
Okay.
that's coming under infrastructure technology, just securing the backbone of the system.
Okay. Thank you. I'm all set.
Thank you, Mr. Ferranti. Any other members have questions? No other questions on the warrants today. Okay. Food service financials, there are none.
Nope.
Communications, none. Enrollment update. And actually, are we all done with Mr. Cruz?
Yep.
Diane?
Yes. How about the
So-
difference from month to month for me?
I know. I'm not used to saying goodbye so quickly, so that's why I
An
just kept
hour
you
and
here.
20 minutes to 3 minutes.
You
Um,
can
wanna stay.
stay. You can
wanna
stay
stay,
if
you
you
can
want.
I will say, Matt, if you have a couple minutes, you might want to listen to my next piece about enrollment.
I'll do that. And just a note that the carry forward process was closed out. So I'll have more information for the committee on that probably into October at the latest November. But yep, I'll hang on for this piece and then sign off.
And I say that, of course, because this piece about enrollment is going to have implications for our budget next year.
Wow. Yes.
So we've started tracking, and I have to thank Mrs. Flynn, who in her new role as Executive Director of Data and Accountability has been tracking these numbers for us already. And these are preliminary numbers, but I did want to start this discussion now because I do think that our remote learning environment is going to have an impact on our enrollment in 2021, which is going to have an impact on our finances next school year.
Right.
And so the other thing that I just want to say before we dive a little bit more deeply into the data is that what you see in green are projected numbers for our October 1 enrollment. Our October 1 enrollment is actually due to the state on October 31st. It's at the end of the month that we have to submit that. But that is the first set of numbers that is used by the state to determine our Chapter 70 funding in each fiscal year. So they're important numbers, which is why we're trying to track them very carefully over these beginning months. And we expect that we'll see a change in enrollment even in the next couple of weeks as we actually begin student learning. We anticipate that we'll have more parents coming to the Parent Information Center to register new students. And so we think that will demonstrate a change in our ins and outs as well as we move to the current year's Power School programming. So these are some of the things that we're tracking. And I'll just start with the all student enrollment, which you see in rows 2 through 8 here. And what I asked Jamie to look at was our enrollment in 2018 and 2019 so that you can see the difference there. And you see it's a fairly steady enrollment with differences of only, under 20 typically. 5th grade was unusually large that year. Sometimes that happens. But a relatively stagnant enrollment from 18 to 19. And I'll slide over so that you can see the upper grades here. Even at the high school level, relatively unremarkable, changes. And PG stands, that's our postgraduate program that fluctuates based on the number of students we have in that over age group who stay with us for additional student services until they turn 22. Where we're seeing a significant change this year is in our lower elementary at the early childhood level. Where the difference between the 2018 and 2019 October 1 number was 1 student. This year, we're down by 116. At the kindergarten level, in the previous 2 school years, we saw a change of 9 students. This year, we're down 120. And the early childhood, I should point out, is separate funding than our K-12 Chapter 70 money. But these are still revenues that we have to consider when we think about the operations of the school district. We see these negative trends with some of them being fairly significant, like at grade 1, 62 fewer students this year, as opposed to the difference between last year and the year before that. 2nd grade was pretty level. 3rd grade, fairly significant, some leveling. 6th grade, down 133 students. And that's compared to the previous year where it was only -19. I'll go across the upper grades. These are relatively stagnant, not huge numbers, but there were a few grade levels where we want to keep our eye out, particularly at kindergarten, 1st grade, and 6th grade. It's understandable where we're in a remote environment that parents may not want to engage their early childhood children or their kindergarten kids, both of which are optional programs, in a remote learning environment. And that's why we see that difference in numbers there. We haven't defined yet what the difference is for this change at grade 6. we're gonna go back and look at our data. It could be just that there were fewer fifth graders rolling up to sixth grade, or it could be a combination of that and some other factors that we're gonna dig into a little bit. But we also took the opportunity to look at this data through the lens of our different demographics. And so we did identify data for just our English learner students. And again, here we see a significant difference. The difference from 18-19 was 14 students fewer. The difference between 19 and 20 is 44 students fewer. And that difference trend continues pretty well up into the grade levels. We think that, you know, some of that is attributable to different national policies around immigration, and also the travel bans that have been in place due to COVID-19. So we think that that's creating some of the fluctuation here. With our special needs kids, again, we see a significant decrease at the early childhood level, kindergarten, we're actually up. First, second, third grade, we're down, but these are fairly moderate numbers. So I just wanted to share that with the committee. And I don't know if, Matt, you want to take a minute talking about how these enrollment numbers can be problematic for us next year.
Sure, it's kind of straightforward, but it is a conversation that every district in the Commonwealth is having now, that the primary driver of your Chapter 70 allocation and your foundation budget formulation and your net school spending limit, it is tied very tightly to your enrollment figures. And so a decrease in enrollment decreases one of the elements that math is done on, and a dramatic decrease in enrollment is just going to be felt in a pronounced way. Just simple math would be to think in terms of, for each student that we lose, the per pupil spending that would be set for that goes with that student. And so especially the districts in our world are keeping a very close eye on comparing this October 1st to last. And we would be seeing the effects of that in that third or fourth week of January, when we're getting the first blush of numbers given to us through the governor and by DESE. So that's why we're keeping such an eye on this at this point.
Thank you, Matt. Does anyone have any questions for Diane? Mr. Ferranti?
Yeah, Diane, does it look like about a projected about 500 less kids on your numbers you just gave us? Or am I way off on that one?
I could probably do some quick math. Hold on, I'm reopening the spreadsheet and see what the net loss is.
Are the numbers based on the parent survey?
No, these are actual enrollment numbers, the kids that we actually have enrolled right now.
Okay.
Okay. Of course, they gave it to me in a
All right, it's
in a Google thing, but
If you were,
let's see, -1, 2. I'd say, I don't think that we're -500, Michael. I'd say that if I look at the overall numbers, we're probably at like a -150.
for the whole city?
Yeah. Because oh wait, I'm sorry. I was looking
Yeah,
at the learn a lot.
that's not
Sorry.
That's not right.
I know.
And I can't even add that good.
Let me just see if I can.
one of the reasons we're bringing this up this early is, if you had a line chart since 18 years of budgets that I've done with you, only one of two things have happened over that time. Either a pretty dramatic increase in the number of students enrolled, and there were many of those years. And so we would have not only an increase in the formula, but a dramatic increase in students, resulting in a dramatic increase in our net school spending requirement, or a very slight increase. And so we were operating at least with near the same number of students, and receiving any increase in the formula. This would be something that we haven't seen in our specific, school district, a reduction in the number of students from year to year. It's been a long time since we would have seen that feeding into the calculus.
Well, it's a totally different year this year. I mean, everything's totally different from prior years.
And I also should mention that we have had conversations with the commissioner and the Department of Education about this already. And it is on their radar as well. Rob Curtin, who's in charge of their unit that does the Chapter 70 formula and those pieces, is already talking about doing a hold harmless on enrollment numbers. So we'll see if we'll obviously be paying attention to that over the course of the fall before the governor's next budget comes out in January. And Michael, you were spot on with your calculation. It's minus 535 kids.
Not bad, huh?
Very good. And what do you think is sparking this decrease in enrollment? Any indication? Is it other districts seeing decreases?
They are. It's happening. It is happening across the Commonwealth. We're seeing a lot more families choose to homeschool their kids. A number of kids have enrolled in the online public schools like TECA, Tech Connections Academy, and a couple of others. And honestly, I think that a lot of people who we normally would see an influx of students coming to us from other countries at this point in the year, because of travel bans and because of COVID, are not coming here now.
Do you also think something, it may have something to do with the mandated flu shot? Because I have spoken to parents who refuse to get the flu shot for their children, and they're looking at other options, not in Revere, parents that live
Yeah.
outside of the district.
I
So-
haven't heard that, but it's certainly something interesting to look at. The flu shot is mandatory for students who are attending school by December 31st. They would have to get it by December 31st if they're coming into school buildings.
Right.
So hopefully we can say that about ourselves in Revere before December 31st, but time will tell.
Hopefully. Ms. Ty, did you have a question?
Just an observation, and it might have to do with a similar practice of people enrolling in online schools. But I've been reading in the paper that more and more people who want their children to be in school, who cannot do their jobs unless their children are in school, are enrolling them in private and parochial schools.
Mhm.
And I think that's less likely to happen in Revere, where people don't have maybe those high-powered jobs with those high-powered salaries. But there must be some people who would, if they could, go to another school. And I think that that's something that we will see more and more of throughout the state. The longer we stay out, the more children we will lose.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Anyone else have any questions for Diane regarding the enrollment update? No? Thank you, Diane, for that update. Okay, next agenda item is personnel items that are attached. New hires, resignations, retirements, LOAs, etc. Any questions on any of those? Mr. Ferranti? You're muted, Michael.
Diane, I think on the resignations, we got the same person twice from the Lincoln School. Number 4 and 11 seem to be the same names, unless there's two of them that I'm not aware of.
They're twins.
It appears that you are correct. We will get that. That was, I'm sure, an oversight.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you
All
for
right.
pointing that out.
Mrs. Rizzo?
I also noticed that some of our faculty that we laid off in the spring are back. I noticed 2 of them, so that was a good thing.
Mhm.
In different, in different schools, but at least they got the opportunity to come back.
And you'll see, I think that you'll see a bit of that as we move forward, particularly in the paraprofessional unit or the AIDS unit, where we are, as we said we would, hiring people back who chose a layoff or, do that over the summer, that we're not holding that against people. And employees that were in good standing before then are welcome to come back and apply for positions. We're happy to have employees in good standing back.
Mhm. Anybody else have any questions on personnel? No?
I have one other personnel item that I should have added to this agenda, but it lost my attention, and that we had talked before about Carol Donovan's departure from the city and how oversight of the nurses would take place. And so we did post a nurse leader job. And I'm pleased to announce that Jessica Gagnon has been appointed to that position. Congratulations to Jessica. I'll be sending an announcement out to the Revere community, Revere Public Schools community tomorrow.
Very nice. Mr. Sinella, did you have a question?
Yes, Diane, how are we standing on the survey with furloughs and layoffs?
We're doing well. Most people, as expected, opted to take the furlough. We had 5 employees who indicated that they wanted to retain their job and continue their work. 4 of them were cafeteria workers. 1 of them was a bus monitor, and we are accommodating them. The cafeteria workers are going to be on hand to serve as substitute cafeteria workers if one of the full-time CAF workers is absent. And the bus monitor right now is working with Steph Novoselsky on some special education runs that we have outside of the district, and is also going to be working to help when the full-time bus drivers are delivering meals to North Revere, and Point of Pines is going to assist with that program. We have a handful of others that never responded to our request. Richie, I think that was down to what, 10 maybe?
It was
today?
9. It was 9, Diane, and they were all crossing guards. And our office reached out to them today. I just haven't circled back to see how that landed.
Okay. So, you know, I think that we're in a place that is going to help the district financially and will give us more assurance that we don't have to worry about any kind of reduction in force or things of that nature going forward.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No, moving on. Acceptance of donations and gifts, none. School field trips, none. Regular meeting agenda items and miscellaneous items. Dr. Kelly?
So I just, if anybody had any questions, I think that you saw, we have a number of presentations tonight, which I know might make the meeting a little bit long. But I feel like we've been so focused rightfully on COVID and reopening that we haven't taken the opportunity that we normally do at each school committee meeting to talk about some of the work that's been happening in the school department. And so a little bit excited under the superintendent's report, we have a team from the high school who's going to share the work that they've been doing on equity. I'm going to talk a little bit about our reopening plan, and actually Dr. Garcia is going to do a big chunk of that. We've worked together a lot over the last week on updating the plan. So he's going to go through the plan that is currently on the website and identify the changes that have been made, just to call them out for the school committee. And then the new plan will be, or the updated plan will be on the website. It's going to need to go to translation tomorrow, but it'll be updated. It'll be posted soon on the website. Dr. Mokaba is going to give us a summary of the educator professional development that took place over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, really, if you include this week. Dr. Garcia is also going to give us a little more information on the Lion Bridge and interpreter training, focusing more heavily on the Lion Bridge program, because I know we talked about that last month, but I want to keep reiterating it so that the families at home, parents who might be listening to the school committee meeting will have that information and know how to access it. And then Dr. Galucci is going to round out the superintendent's report with a summary of the Title IX changes, and again, make sure that information is more readily available to the public. And then that's it for me on the superintendent's report. I think the rest is, I don't know if Stacy wants to talk about any of the policy stuff. or her dog if he does.
Huh? No, it is what it is. And, it's just the addendum to the face mask that we discussed at a subcommittee meeting, and the parent engagement plan that we discussed.
And I know that's one thing that Dr. Garcia had mentioned, because our reopening plan obviously does talk about face masks. But we agreed that we should wait until after this meeting when the committee votes, and then he will incorporate any new language that's voted on by the committee into the reopening plan. I meant to highlight that for you because his report will come up before you actually take your vote.
That's
So
fine.
we will make any edits necessary after.
That's fine.
Okay. And then I don't know, I'm sure Michael's gonna ask about the encumbrance and payment of bills for the middle school. So I'll just
Me
mention
too.
those. There are 2 motions. And this is for the work that Hill International continues to do on behalf of the city around paperwork for the lawsuit with CTA on the Hill School. And so the total for the month of, I believe this was the month of July, was $1,092.50. The Hill School Building Committee had a meeting yesterday and voted to recommend that you encumber and then pay that invoice. So you see that on your agenda tonight.
Is that school gonna ever end? No? Maybe?
No.
I don't think so.
I'm
No?
hoping it's finished before the new high school.
Oh,
That would be
God.
good. Any other members have any questions about the regular meeting agenda?
No. Mhm.
So. is
Oh,
there-
I have one
Oh.
question.
Yes, Ms. Rizzo.
It's about the, Giuseppe. If the Title IX professional development has started, and are we included in the professional development?
I'll refer that to Richie. I know it has started, but he can give you the details.
So we had a 3-hour training with all of the building-based administrators in central office. I can certainly go through the training with the committee. I did not invite you to the training. That might have been my inexperience at play. So I apologize for that. But I've passed along the whole entire presentation, and I am always around if you had any questions or wanted to indeed go through all the training. I can certainly do that.
Thank you, Richie.
You're welcome.
Any other members have any questions? Seeing none, do we want a motion to adjourn until our 6 o'clock meeting?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Bronston Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. D'Ambrosio,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi,
Yes.
Mr. Sinella,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Arrigo.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll see
so we'll
everybody
see
at
you
6.
We'll see you at 6. And just a reminder that it's another different link for the 6 o'clock meeting.
Diane, send it to me, please, Diane.
I will do that, Fred.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else need it? Carol?
No, we're good.
No, yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
All right. We'll see
Thank
you all
you.
at 6.
Thank you.
Robin took care of me.